Hey folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we'll continue with the Professional Ethics by the CA Act 1949, right? So where were we in the previous lecture? We were discussing about the clause 6, right? And we have discussed all the various parameters and all the various requirements of the clause of soliciting the client. But the last one that was remaining is about the website. So yeah, indeed, we need to discuss in detail about the website because that is a sensitive issue. As you know, e-commerce is actually the #1 building industry. In next 5 years, next 3 years, it is going to grow 5x times in India itself. That is the latest stats, right? So if you talk about e-commerce, building up a website is also an e-commerce segment of the CA. Right? So that it is accessible to the people around the globe. So that is why we have to get into a detailed discussion about how to deal with this e-commerce based portal. E-commerce does not necessarily mean buying and selling online, right? E-commerce is anything that you do online. Obviously there's a dealing in it. So via your website you also attract some customers. People come to know about you, you share data, you share some knowledge. It is trading of knowledge. You don't trade in goods and services, but you trade knowledge on your CA websites, right? You give out information, people come, people share their knowledge, and a lot of things happen. So even this is a kind of e-commerce that we are doing, right? And since you know the potential of this industry is huge, we'll have to be literally very careful about how do we go ahead with the e-commerce part of it. Right? So our topic today will rotate around the only topic, which is the website. So if a chartered accountant, or you can say any chartered accountancy firm, right, if they want to host a website of their own, right, so making a website is not a big deal. These days 500 to 1000 your website is ready. But you will have to match up with various criteria that the institute brings forward. Why? Because website is actually one thing in e-commerce, and the reach, it is so vibrant and so broad and so huge that this can be used as a very effective tool for soliciting clients. And that is why institute is extra careful on this front, so that nothing you do should amount to soliciting of the client. Clear? Getting the idea? Right? So there are a lot of things that we need to take care, and I hope you all know, you all might not be knowing, but once you qualify and once you get your membership, right, every year you have to give a membership fee. You are aware of that, right? All of you know that every year to the institute will have to pay some membership fee. Now along with that membership fee, you fill up a form, you give your details over there. So any chartered accountant or any chartered accountancy firm, right, when they are filing their fee to the institute year on year for the membership, they also have to attach the details of their website if they have, right? So the institute has it in record that yeah, these are the chartered accountants in India that are the member of the institute, and these are their websites. The institute can at any point of time get an access to your website and check whether or not you are complying with the requirements which has been laid down by the institute, right? So if someone of you might have a question, how do they know that we have so many websites? Because if you have a website, you have to write it down in the form. But there's one more thing. If for example you do not mention your website on the form along with the fee, right, the institute is not coming ahead to punish you or to ban your website. But still, even though it is not mentioned on the form, does not mean that you do not have to comply with the requirements. So the requirements that we will be talking about in this lecture is not basically about the website or the name of the website that you have provided or listed with the institute. It is about any website that you have created for this purpose. A website on your name, a website in your firm's name, any of it. Whether or not it is listed in the records with the institute has all the required access to it. When I say required access, means the institute has the right to go ahead and institute a proceeding against you if you do not comply with the requirements of the institute. Clear? Right. So that was a brief background, so that when we are studying about the website, we should know where it connects to. What happens, what are the actions to be taken, right? Now tell me one thing, is this the only medium of websites that you have, or only medium of access to the e-commerce world, to the internet world? The answer is no. Some of you during your audit must have also seen that certain other corporates, for example banks and stuff, they also have their website where they provide these taxation and other related services that are basically supposed to be provided by a chartered accountant. Yeah, you know, there are banks who have those websites. So you being a chartered accountant, you having a website and you being restricted on your website is one thing, right? You say, okay, we are having so much of restriction, but if a bank puts up the same website and they want to solicit client and they are providing matter on taxation, it's a competition for us. Let it be. That's the bank. What they want to do, they do. They are not the members of the institute, right? But again, over there also, you have to be careful if they are inviting you on their website for any suggestion, to solve any query, for any discussion, right, for any advice, for anything. Then you again have to be careful when you go to their website as well. So if there's a question they have and they want your response on it, then you will have to respond in a very subtle way. In any case, that content that is provided in your response should not be in a manner of soliciting client. That means you're not going forward and saying that, yeah, I have these many clients, I have this experience, this is my firm, this is my that. No, you cannot do that. Straightforward, whatever is the query, just go and address the query. The only thing that you can write is, yeah, this is the query was answered by so and so chartered accountant. That is it. But again, there is one key point to keep in mind over there. If the query is answered by a chartered accountant, you refer that, yeah, it has been answered by a chartered accountant, because that will make the viewer or the person who has posted the query feel confidence that, yeah, it has been responded by a chartered accountant. But if it has been responded by you and you write the name of your firm, that it was responded by so and so associates, so at the end of the name of the firm, you cannot add the word chartered accountants, like LK Advani Associates and LK Advani Chartered Accountant Associates, whatever it is. You cannot, if you are giving in your firm's name, right, you cannot mention the word chartered accountants over there. You can say, yeah, this has been answered by this firm, that is it. But if you are answering it yourself, you can say that, yeah, this has been answered by so and so chartered accountant, right? So that is the brief background I wanted you to know before we go on to see what are the exact requirements of this website thing. What are you allowed to provide? What are your restricted form? All these things have to be mentioned. So now we get into the nitty-gritties of the requirements by the institute, right? So back in 2001, the institute started framing the requirements for this website division, and by 2004 they had confirmed it all, that, yeah, via later amendments that they had, that okay, this will be the final layout that can be prepared by a chartered accountant, that if you are preparing a website, right, these are the requirements that you have to fulfill. That was confirmed by April 2004, right? Now there's one thing that you need to very specifically understand, that when we are talking about preparing a website for a chartered accountant, right, and we say that, yeah, institute has so much restrictions and requirements for it, please bring it out of your mind that the institute has defined any particular format. No, there is no particular format regarding this topic. That, yeah, when you are preparing a website, these are the requirements that you have to fulfill. It is not exactly bent on the same platform, but what the institute goes on to say is your website should in no way result in soliciting of the client, right? So when you are preparing a website, following are the things that you have to keep in mind while you are preparing the content or working on the procedural part of the website, right? But there is no fixed and defined format for the same. So that means you do not have any specific website, any specific format, nor do you have any guidelines for a standard format. And there's no restriction on the color combination or the font size or anything. Now, another thing you need to understand is that there is no restriction regarding, or not a major restriction regarding the name of your website. Like if you are an individual, you are Mr. X, then you can have your website with the name of Mr. X and some other suffix or prefix with it. Right? Whatever availability you get for the web page. So if you want your web page to be on the name of your trade or to be on your own name, you can go ahead with that. There is no problem. So first thing you understood, there is no definite format, there is no standard format, no restrictions on color, as well as there is no restriction on the name as compared to the extent of using your individual name or the trade name. The name should not be so funky and so vibrant that again it leads to soliciting of the client, right? Or something that do not relate to the CA profession at all. So you cannot have those kinds of funky names, but otherwise if you want to use your individual or trade name as your web page name, you are allowed to do so. That will not be regarded as a medium of soliciting clients, right? Next, use pull technology. Now what do you mean by pull technology? Most of you, like if you are watching my videos online, right, that means you are a little tech friendly, right? Because over here I'm sure there are very few students who do not know how to operate a PC or a laptop very efficiently, right? Because otherwise you would not be going through my videos on this portal, right? So keeping that view in mind, I will explain it from that point of view that yeah, you have some basic knowledge of the internet. So whenever you go to any kind of a website, may it be any online shopping, may it be education portal, may it be a game portal, may it be anything, you always see there are certain banners that pop up. Hurry, this deal, that deal, this much discount on this website, on that website, 1+1 offer on Jabong, right? Fossil watches on Ethos. There are a lot of things that go on. Now what are these? So what happens is when you open a web page, these things automatically pop up. So this is the push technology that those advertisers are using, or that web page is also using. Whenever you click to any position, you go to any web page, there are 10 more things popping up on that web page. That is a push technology. They are from the back end pushing those details and those advertisements on the front end. Although I don't need it, you don't need it, but still you get those information. Why? Because that is a push technology. Pull technology basically talks about getting the information that is actually required by you. So if I have 10 links and I know I need the information on link number 5, I go and I click on link number 5 and link number 5 pops up. So that is a pull technology, whereby I receive only what I intend to receive. That means I choose what I want to read, what I want to see, and where I want to go. So when the choice is yours and the entire web page is driven by your clicks and your initiatives, that is a pull technology. You are pulling things to know what is in it, but push is someone else is pushing it in front of your eyes so that you see and you get clicked to it, right? Now again, remember one thing, push and pull, they are not directly independent technologies. They're very much dependent on themselves as well. Like for example, if somebody is using a push technology to show you an advertisement, then you see an advertisement that okay, this is the new mobile launched, it is only available on Flipkart, right? That is a push technology that shows you the advertisement. Now how do you go to Flipkart? That is a pull technology. You click on that advertisement, you click on that site, and then you open up the Flipkart website. That is something you have wanted, you have attracted, and you have initiated. So that is again a pull technology, right? So over here, as per the CA Institute guidelines, so whenever you are designing a website of your own, make sure your entire website works on the pull technology, which means you show them only what is needed and what they want to see, plus they should have been initiating to see it. If I want to read an article on, for example, filing of return, right? Then I click on that link and only then you show it to me. Why? Because I am pulling it. Clear? Next, no circulation of content via email. Yes. Now again what happens is, for example, you go on to Amazon, Flipkart, Jabong, Myntra, whatever site, right? The first thing they ask you when you go on to that web page for the first time is sign up. If you are existing customer, log in, else you need to sign up. Why do you think they need it? It is not only about these shopping websites. You go to any website, go to Tax Guru, go to any website. What happens over there is whenever you log in, they ask for your either login details, or if you have not logged in or if you have not signed up, please sign up. And then what happens is, on the email ID that you provide via that, during that sign up, you find certain mails popping up in your inbox on your Gmail or Yahoo, whatever it is. After frequent interval, like every week you have a mailer, every third day you have a mailer, when anything new comes up you have a mailer, right? Those kind of technologies are prohibited for CA members. So if you have a website and somebody logs into your website and you take their email address and telephone number, and after every frequent interval you are dropping them a mail, hey, this is the new update, this is this is that, you are not supposed to do it. You are exactly not supposed to do it. They will get the information only when they require it. You're not supposed to send out, circulate emailers or any that kind of a content to any visitor on your website, right? Whatever information is needed by a person, they should come, they should click on the website, click on the link, and then get the information. No circulation of content via email, right? So I hope you are understanding whatever we have discussed so far. These all relate to prohibit you from soliciting clients. You cannot give in advertisements. Somebody is watching your web page, hey, we have a new offer, hey, we give this consultancy as well, hey, we have these kinds of client. No popping up such kind of information. No usage of push technology for anything. When we say no circulation of content via email, any new update, you send an email like, look boss, how updated we are, and we are also updating you. Think we are giving you such a wonderful service even when you're not taking any service from us. Imagine when you take service from us, we are simply mind-blowing. You are not giving such kind of an information, right? Further again, you are not supposed to roll out circulars. Circular means you cannot promote your website via any medium. Distributing circulars, pamphlets that, yeah, if you need these kinds of information, please go on and log on to www.soandso.com, and you get all the informations that you require from the finance point of view. You cannot do that. You cannot drive the population towards your website. People who need it, people who know you, they may go, they may get it. But you are not supposed to distribute circulars and stuff in order to drive traffic to your portal, right? But yes, if you are using any business stationery, that means your letterheads, your business visiting cards, or any kind of those things, any instrument that you use in your business as stationery, you are free to mention the name of the website on those stationeries. You are distributing diaries, anything you do, just you are allowed to mention it over there, because there is a limited crowd to which you cater. Letterheads, they go to your clients. Your name card, your visiting card, they go to your prospective clients, your known people, right? So those kind of things you can do, but you cannot rotate out something in public that will divert traffic to your portal. Clear? So you understand what are we actually into? So the institute does not restrict the format of the web page, but yeah, what do you do when after you have created a web page is an utmost important task, and you need to understand and you need to be educated for it. Otherwise, you may call for trouble for yourself, right? So there are a lot more things on the website part that we still need to discuss. So if we are taking another class, another lecture on this, let us keep that lecture also contentful. So beyond these, the points that we have will be picked up in the next lecture, right? And then we'll again go back and discuss in detail all of these things and wind up the topic in the next lecture itself. Okay? So please stay tuned for the next lecture. Until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you and bye-bye. I'll see you guys back in the next lecture.